Today, we're looking at a blue ink by Wancher, Imari Blue. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. There's timestamps down below so that you can skip around, but if you got the time, I would appreciate you if you check out the entire video. You can follow me over on Instagram, and if you're new here and like fountain pen ink reviews, I would remind you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Parker jotter with a medium nib. I wrote with it for a day and used it to take my notes for this video. In order to have some standardization in my writing samples, I always use Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I have this ink in bottle form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby is the medium is the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, 18 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows no real color variation, and we didn't get any. Tomoe River. No bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The stub has no feather spread, halo sheen or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, and 18 seconds to dry. The medium is darker than the extra fine, but not as dark as the stub. It has no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, a whopping 48 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. And in Rhodia, no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen or shade. The extra fine is a lot lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, 12 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, but not as dark as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, and 23 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this very light magenta that pushes its way up, and then the blue comes in. So this is not a true blue. This is a very interesting mix. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And the blue is not traveling as fast away from the water, which is the reason we see a lot of its mixing as it's moving up still with that magenta. But I don't know that I'm really expecting a whole lot of hold on for this ink. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. As has been normal with the Wancher inks, the highlighter doesn't do well. Don't use this as a note taker if you use highlighters. Now, water's reactivating and lifting it, and at the bottom right spot where the water was, you start to see the white of the paper coming through, which does make me feel that given a little bit more than 30 seconds and a little bit more water than a drop, water is all that you would need to get this out of your pen. Now, Pen Flush did everything that water did and nothing more, really. The 1/3 bleach solution is completely removing it from the page, but there's no need to use a 1/3 bleach solution to get this out of your pen. I test for viscosity or flow using a thing called a tilt test. I will link how I do that, the video of it, down below or up in the cards. I also then put it onto a standard distribution so it's more easily seen with all of the inks that I've tested. Now, for the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Wancher Original Imari Blue has a viscosity of 2.28, making it normal. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average all of those. Now, for the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Wancher Imari Blue has an average dry time of 22 seconds, making it just a little bit longer than normal. Instead of finding inks that look like a Wancher Original Imari Blue, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I wanted a nice red, a classic red, like Diamine's Classic Red. The second writing sample is done on yellow Rhodia paper, Nimicine notebooks, and a composition notebook like you would use in science class. We go to the yellow Rhodia so that we can see if there's any kind of real color change that happens for having that yellow paper. And when we look at the medium, we see absolutely no change at all. The stub has absolutely no change at all. But the extra fine, it has a very turquoisey look to it. It's really bringing it between the blue and the green. It's just a hair different than what we're seeing in the extra fine. So we do see some color variation when we use yellow Rhodia paper. Now, Nimicine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is a lot lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 9 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, but not quite as dark as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 19 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any color variation. But how about composition notebooks? Now we do get some light bleeding spots. It's getting deeper into the page, but it's not coming through the page. That deeper into the page is causing a little bit of some show-through, some ghosting. I wouldn't be able to use the back of the page and be happy, but some people might. That's the medium at the top. It has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is still lighter than the medium, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 5 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it, and that is all that I have for the writing sample. So what do I think of Wancher's Imari Blue? I think this is a standout, great ink. It looks fantastic on the page. The vibrancy that comes through really does make it pop. There's been a few inks they've made I didn't care for. There's some coming that I really do care for, but I think this is a hands down winner. Just comes in that little jam jar, but I'm getting used to it. So what nib and pen gives the best writing experience with this ink? Wet is better. The wetter, the better. Absolutely, it makes it more vibrant and makes it truly stand out. And that's what you want from this ink because it is gorgeous. If you've made it this far and you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I'm going to remind you to subscribe. Thanks for watching.